Hello, this is 4-3 operations with fractions. Today we're learning how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide fractions. So there are a couple things that you need to know, some terms that you need to know before we start today's class. First one is lowest common denominator. Lowest common denominator is, we'll explain in a bit. Just get used to hearing the word. It's abbreviated to LCD. You also need to know numerator and denominator. Right, so numerator is the top of the fraction, denominator is the bottom of the fraction. And again, the fraction sign, like that line, means division. All right, let's continue. All right, so the only things that you need to take into consideration is whether or not it's addition or subtraction, or whether it's multiplication or division. So multiplication and division are practically the same, and addition and subtraction are basically the same. So very similar to our first, I believe, first lesson of the entire course, adding and subtracting, or operations with integers or something like that, or maybe that was the second lesson. Anyway, so let's continue. So first of all, let's do addition and subtraction. So when you add or subtract fractions, the first thing you need to look for is, are the denominators the same? So for example, if we had 1/3 plus 2/3, in this case, both of their denominators are 3, which means you can just add them. So 1/3 plus 2/3, you just add the numerators, you keep the denominators as is. You don't change the denominator in addition and subtraction. So in this case, both of them stay 3. You just add the numerator. 1 plus 2 equals 3. Alright. Here's something that you can do on your own. What do you think 3/4 plus 1/4 is? Pause the video and do it on your own. Okay, great. If you said 4/4, you'd be correct. So you can add them as is because the denominators are the same. In this case, they're both 4. Then just add the numerators. 3 plus 1 is 4. Same thing goes with not division, subtraction. So for example, 3/4 minus 1/4. 3 minus 1 is 2. Since the denominators are the same, you can just do that. 2/4, that's 1/2, right? So now let's talk about when the denominators are not the same. So for example, say we have 1/3 plus 1/6. How are we supposed to do this? So what we're going to do is find what's called the lowest common denominator. So we're going to multiply the top and the bottom of a fraction until we get the same number. So in this case, we see from here 3 to 6, right? We can just multiply the top and the bottom by 2, right? Just replace this 1 with 2. 1 times 2 is 2. 3 times 2 is 6. Now we get 2/6, which is the same as 1/3, right? Now they have the same denominator. That equals 3/6, right? 2 plus 1, then 6, still on the bottom, right? And again, this is addition. Addition and subtraction, you don't do anything to the denominator unless you need to find a common denominator. That simplifies to 1/2. Let's do an example like this together. So say something like 1/5 plus 2/3. Now we can't just multiply one side by a certain number. So I like to do what's called the butterfly method. Right, in this case, 1 times 3 is 3. 2 times 5 is 10. And then 5 times 3 is 15. So basically what you do is you multiply opposing numerators and denominators, right? 1 times 3. 1 times 3 to get 3. 2 times 5 to get 10. Then you add those up. Or since you're adding right here. Right? So Then you just multiply the denominators, put that in the denominator here, so that gets you 13 over 15. Whoops. 13 over 15. Okay, so let's do one, practice one, check for comprehension. Let's see, let's change that. There we go. So you can do that now. Okay, assuming you've paused the video and tried it on your own, let's do it together. So let's do the butterfly method. 4 times 2 is 8, minus 1 times 5 is 5, right? Minus, because we're subtracting, divided by 5 times 2, which is 10. And that gets us 8 minus 5, that's 3 over 10. That's our answer. And by the way, you're going to have to do this times this first. So it's not 5 minus 8, it's 8 minus 5. So just keep that in mind when you're doing the butterfly method as well. Alright, great. Now let's go on to multiplication division. So multiplication division are in my not as easiest. You don't have to find the lowest common denominator or anything. You just multiply everything together. So for example, say we have 2/3 times 1/5. All we need to do is multiply the denominators, multiply the numerators. 2 times 1, right? 2 times 1 is 2. 3 times 5 is 15. Our answer is 2/15. That's it. Okay, let's do a comprehension check. Say we have 3/8 times, let's do 3/7. Can you do that for me real quick? Alright, this shouldn't take very long. You just multiply all the numbers up. 3 times 3 is 9. 7 times 8, 56. So that's your answer. Okay, now here's an easier way to simplify as we go. So say we have something like 2/3 times, let's do 9/4. Okay, so if we just multiply that, we get 18 over 12, right? Which is obviously simplifiable, if that's a word. So what we can do here is if each of these fractions are fully simplified, in each case they are, right? You can't simplify 2/3 into anything else. 9/4 is the simplest form of an improper fraction. Again, this all only works with improper. Don't, if you have a mixed number, convert that to an improper. So what we can do is we can look at the numerators and denominators on the opposite sides. So these and these, right? And see if they have any common factors. In this case, we can look at 2 and 4 first. 2 and 4 are both divisible by 2. So what we can do is cross 2 out, divide 2 by 2. That's 1, divide 4 by 2, which is 2. Oh, my bad, 2. 2. All right, divide the top and the bottom, in this case 2 and the 4, by 2. So the top, then 2 divided by 2 is 1, 4 divided by 2 is 2. So that's how we get that. So now it's just 1 up here, now it's 2 down here. So now look at the 3 and the 9. They're both divisible by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 9 divided by 3 is 3. And now we're just left with 1 times 3. 1 times 2. Simplified answer is 3 over 2. Again, this only works if you've already simplified the fractions that you're multiplying. Okay, let's do an example on your own to see if you can do this correctly. Okay, let's do 14 over 9 times 18 over 7. See if you can do that on your own. Pause the video and do it on your own to see if you can do it. Okay, assuming you've done the question together, let's do the question together. So first of all, let's look at the 14 and 7. They're both divisible by 7. 7 divided by 7 is 1. 14 divided by 7 is 2. both divisible by 9, 2, 1, and that comes out to exactly 4 over 1, right? Or just 4. Right, 2 times 2 is 4, 1 times 1 is 1. Okay, of course, you don't have to fully simplify. Like, for example, this was 7, this is 9, 3, for example. Right, the 7 and the 3 don't have anything common, so we can just disregard those. 12 and the 9, they're both divisible by 3. That's 4, that's 3. So it doesn't have to come out to exactly 1. In this case, 4 times 3 is 12, 7 times 3 is 21. So just keep that in mind as well. Just look for any common factors if you are very good with your multiplication table, which you should be. This will be very easy. Now onto division. Division is basically the same. The only thing that you need to remember is, you should write this down as well, keep, change, flip. Alright, just make sure to write that down. Pause the video if you need more time. Alright, so what does this mean? Say we have something like 1/2 divided by 2/3. What does this mean? So we can use what's called keep, change, flip. Alright, so we're going to keep the first number. We're going to keep the first number. We're going to change the sign to a multiplication. And then we're going to flip the second number. 3 to 2. 3 divided by 2. So what used to be in the numerator is now in the denominator. What used to be on the denominator is now in the numerator. So now we know how to multiply them. 1 times 3 is 3. 2 times 2 is 4. So the answer is 3/4. Alright, great. Let's do comprehension check. Let's do 7 over 3 divided by 2 divided by 3. Pause the video and try it. Assume that you've done the question, let's do it together. So we keep the first number, we change the sign, and we flip the second number. And now you see you can divide both sides, the top and the bottom, by 3, right? It becomes 1 and 1. 7 times 1 is 7. 1 times 2 is 2. So our answer is 7 over 2. Great. Okay. Now there's one more thing that I think there's only one question on the homework that is like this, but this is something that you also need to know for the tests. So you should write this down as well. So what does this mean? We're going to talk a bit about what this means after you finish writing this down. So if you need more time, again, just pause the video or rewind back to where it was. Okay, so what does all this mean? So for example, if we had this question, 20 is 80% of what number? Of what number? What number is it, right? So in this case, 20 we can identify as the part. What number is the whole? And 80% is the fraction. So going back to our triangle, right, so we're looking for the whole. So what we need to do, very simple, is just cover up what we're looking for. So we're looking for the whole, just cover that up. Now p is on the top, f is on the bottom. So what that means is we're going to take p and divide that by the fraction. Not 4, fraction. So in this case, that's 20 divided by 0.8. You should know how to convert decimals into, you should know how to convert percents into decimals, right? And hold on. That comes out to 25. So 20 is 80% of 25. Let's do a couple more examples. before we end this off. And by the way, I use a calculator. I'm not very good with mental math, so if you want to use a calculator, that's fine. Otherwise, um, just do it on paper. It should be doable on paper. If you know how to do long division, just put a bunch of zeros until you can put a number there. Also put the decimal point there accordingly. All right, so for example, still we have something like, what is 80% of 20? So what this is asking is we're looking for the part this time, because 20 is the whole, 80% is a fraction. All right, so if we look at our triangle, part, fraction, whole. All right, now we're gonna cover up the p because we're looking for p right now. And since they're on the same level, fraction and whole, this is supposed to be an f, not an e, we multiply them. So what we need to do is 0.8 times 20, which is 16, I think, right? 0.8 times 20, yeah, that's 16. So 80% of 20 is 16. So again, if it's on the same level, multiply. If they're on different levels, divide p by whatever is below it. So just cover up what you're looking for, and then you should be fine. So let's do comprehension check. So let's do 100 is 20% of what number? Pause the video and try it on your own. Okay, let's do this question together now. So again, looking at our triangle thing, fraction, part, whole. 100, 20%. 20% obviously is the fraction. 100 is 20% of what number? Which means that 100 is the part. And we're looking for the whole, so we cover that up. The part, which is 100, divided by the fraction, which is 20%, 0.2, right? In other words, 100 divided by 1/5, or, oh no, yeah, 100 times 5, right? We learned keep, change, flip. Keep the first number, change the thing, and then you flip it, right? 5 over 1 is the same as 5. And obviously 100 times 5 is 500, so that's our answer. It's a bit messy, the screen's a bit messy, but the answer is 500. So 100 is 20% of 500. Okay, so that's all I have for you today. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. The homework is in Google Classroom, and yeah, enjoy.